Today on Time About the Movies, the summer movie season officially comes to a close, so that means that we've got a month of the movies that the studios didn't believe in or that they didn't feel like they should go up against the summer blockbusters, so that means today's movie's gotta be bad, right? Well, there's a couple of ones that are not that great, but overall, this isn't a bad week overall. I mean, yeah, we do start off with the latest film from Freeberg and Seltzer, Vampires Suck, but we also have Ice Cube, Bow Wow, and Loretta Devine leading an ensemble cast in Lottery Ticket. We have the remake in 3D of Piranha. We have Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman in The Switch, and we have Emma Thompson returning as Nanny McPhee in... well, Nanny McPhee returns. So, let's take a look at the 5 films of August 20th, 2010, today on Time About the Movies. Yeah, welcome to Time About the Movies, where, of course, today we are taking a look at the 5 films that came out on August 20th, 2010. And the biggest new release of them all was, of course, Vampires Suck, which is the latest film from Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer. However, it's the last film released under 20th Century Fox, and pretty much the last movie that would go wide in theaters. The next movie they would put out would go straight to DVD. So at least they knew that it was time for them to stop fucking around with the audiences in general. Even though this one will actually surprise you because it's actually one of the better ones. That doesn't make it a great movie, but as you can see from the trailer there, it's a parody of the Twilight Saga, but you also have those little nods to things that were popular at the time, like the Jonas Brothers, the Jersey Shore, Black Eyed Peas, Lady Gaga, all these things are in there. And yeah, they're definitely all over this movie. And yeah, this is not a good spoof movie. However, this movie actually is right up there with Date Movie for some of the better films in the series. Because, for one thing, it's a good jabbing of the Twilight Saga in general. I think they did a pretty good job of making fun of the obvious things that you can make fun of. Like the thing in the trailer where Jacob's has to take his shirt off, and Bella's just like, why are you taking your shirt off? Oh, it's in my contract that I have to take it off every 10 minutes. I mean, I like the fact that they did that those jokes in there actually do kind of work. And you got people like Matt Lanter, who was in Disaster Movie, but then you have Ken Jeong, Annalise Van der Poel from That's So Raven, Ariel Kebbel from Soul Plane. So they got some not really big names in general, but names you've seen before time and time again. And like I said, it's not a great movie overall, but considering how bad stuff like Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, or Disaster Movie, we don't give a fuck about we don't even give a fuck. We're just doing this because we want to see how many references you get while we're counting your money. And yeah, you're getting a lot of that in here, but at the same time, it is still very much a parody of Twilight, and an okay parody. Not even a good parody, but I got more laughs out of this than I would have had I seen this back then. I obviously avoided this one like the plague back then, and I watched it just kind of like, it's not great, but it certainly is a lot better than what the last 3 films that came before it. And yeah, it's, like I said, it's not a great movie, but considering what these guys have done, this is probably their second best overall movie that they had done, and even then, it's not that great. So, a mostly negative review, but if you're going to be forced to watch one of these movies, I'd say watch Date Movie first, then Vampires Suck, and then after that, you really don't need to watch them anymore. But let's be honest, you're not going to want to watch them again the first time after watching them. So anyway, that's Vampires Suck. So let's go ahead and move on to some good movies now. Some decent surprises here, and one of the big ones here is Lottery Ticket. Yeah, a surprisingly really enjoyable movie based off of a really good concept. Bow Wow plays a young man from Atlanta who wins a $370 million lottery and soon realizes that people from the neighborhood are not his real friends but are after his money. And you have a cast that includes a lot of notable names, as they say in the trailer: Brandon T. Jackson, Notori Naughton, Keith David, Charlie Murphy, Terry Crews, Mike Epps, Loretta Devine, and also Ice Cube. And yeah, the movie is a good concept overall, because if you win the lottery, yeah, the first thing you want to do is tell everybody, but then I like how Bow Wow has that realization that as soon as everyone realizes that he won the lottery, everyone's going to come after him and ask for that money. And sure enough, as soon as everyone figures it out, of course, they want him to give that money away, and they want to try to get out of the hood and all that. And so and also he's got this battle between essentially Debo from Friday. I mean, it's literally the same concept of Friday in general, where you have Bow Wow's character going up against the equivalent of Debo from Friday. And yeah, some of that stuff is not that great either. And I can't even pronounce the guy's name. It's Bendy Akanabi. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. But the film overall is still fun. I still thought it was very enjoyable. I thought it was very good. I thought the actors in there did a really good job in here. I like the idea of the story. I like the characters overall. Yeah, the story has been done to death before, and at times can be similar to Friday in general. But at the same time, it's fine. It's a pretty good movie overall. I still thought it was kind of enjoyable. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought it was a very solid film. And yeah, it kind of came and went when it came out. It didn't make a ton of money at the box office, and just kind of disappeared under the radar. But overall, yeah, like I said, it's a pretty good movie. It's a fun film. It's not the most intelligent or smartest in the world, but I mean, it's fine for what it is. It's a good movie. It's one I'd say definitely check it out. If you like Friday, if you like stuff in like One of Them Days, you'll definitely find a lot to admire about Lottery Ticket, honestly. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Piranha in 3D. I'm going to keep doing that with every 3D movie now, so yeah, prepare yourself for that. Haven't actually used this in a while, but yes, unfortunately, this movie belongs in the category of post-production 3D hell. But here's the difference between Clash of the Titans and also, what was the other one that used post-production 3D? I think Clash of the Titans was the only one, honestly, but the difference is they did this on purpose because the original plan was to shoot with 3D camera rigs. However, they basically decided to just shoot the movie in 2D and then use 3D in post-production. And unlike other movies that were released in 2010 where they did the conversion afterwards, this was actually one of the first post-conversion ones that actually did it well and actually saved Dimension Films a ton of money by doing it. So, yeah, they did a pretty good job of overall using the 3D very well, even though it was filmed after the post-production after the film had finished production. But this is, of course, a remake of the 1978 movie of the same name, which had an entry that was directed by James Cameron. I think it was the second one, if I'm not mistaken. But during spring break on Lake Victoria, a popular waterside resort, an underground tremor releases hundreds of prehistoric carnivorous piranhas into the lake. A local cop, played by Elizabeth Shue, must join forces with a band of unlikely strangers, though they are badly outnumbered, to destroy the ravenous creature before everyone becomes fish food. And you have a cast that includes Adam Scott, Jerry O'Connell, Ving Rhames, Stephen McQueen, Christopher Lloyd, Richard Dreyfuss, Jessica Shore, and directed by Alexandra Aja, who did The Hills Have Eyes, the first Hills Have Eyes movie in 2006. And overall, it was a pretty fun movie. It's a film that knows exactly what it is. It's a parody of these type of movies. It even has a parody of Jaws on the poster for it. I mean, it's literally the same poster for Jaws, except instead of a shark underneath the woman, it's literally piranhas, and the woman is on a raft. Not really the same thing, but you get the idea. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty solid movie. And guess who co-wrote this? Josh Stolberg, who, believe it or not, has certainly gone a lot better than the last film he wrote, which was Good Luck Chuck. And not even that, but, you know, this is the guy that did Kids in America and Sorority Row. And honestly, I was going to say this might be the best thing he wrote, but, you know, down the road he did write the Saw movies, and he did write some good Saw movies. Spiral from the Book of Saw, and just recently Saw X. So his career definitely got better from stuff like Kids in America and Good Luck Chuck and Sorority Row. And it started with this movie here, so, hey, go figure. But, yeah, overall, it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie that knows exactly what it is. Silly, over-the-top fun, parodying the shark movie genre, but this time replacing the sharks with piranhas. And it plays it very well. It works very well. The 3D works really good, too. It's a good film. It's a really fun film overall that surely they went ahead and completely dismantled the enjoyment factor with the sequel, Piranha in 3 Double D. And, yeah, we'll get to that one in 2012, but I'm just going to tell you right now, that one sucks, too. That one, not sucks, too, but that one sucks more than this. So, take that for what you will. So, anyway, that is Piranha 3D. So, let's go ahead and get back to some decent movies. Jennifer Aniston and so many J's on here. Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman starring in the comedy The Switch. Yeah, that trailer doesn't tell you the plot of the movie, and that's probably one of the reasons why this film didn't do so well. And that kid is important to the storyline, as I'm about to tell you with the plot here. Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman are best friends. Being unlucky in love, Jennifer Aniston's character Cassie has decided to have a child using artificial insemination. Jason Bateman's character Wally doesn't like that idea, but he isn't capable of admitting to himself, let alone to Cassie, that he's in love with her. At Cassie's artificial insemination party, which I had no idea was even a thing, but Wally gets very drunk and spies the sperm donor sample in the bathroom. Wally was way too drunk to know what he did that night, and Cassie has moved away because she doesn't feel that New York City is a place to raise a child. Now, 7 years later, Cassie has moved back in with her son Sebastian, while she is looking to get Roland, played by Patrick Wilson, the sperm donor, more involved in their lives. Wally can't help but notice the many striking similarities that he and Sebastian share. And essentially, yeah, Jason Bateman is the father, and they could have easily just gone to the Maury Povich show, and Jason Bateman could have done a dance when Maury reveals that you are the father, and the dance and all that, which was fun. That stuff was fun at the time, but the fact that every single episode of the Maury Povich show after that essentially just became that, it's just kind of like the fun factor really lost it after that point. But yeah, this is a film that surprisingly is really good, and I'd written off Jennifer Aniston after a couple of really bad movies she had done, Love Happens, and then The Bounty Hunter, but here's one that actually was pretty good. This is actually a really solid film. More shocking by the fact that it's also written by Alan Loeb, who will later write some very not great movies like Wall Street Money Never Sleeps and The Dilemma, but hey, he wrote a decent script here. This is directed by Will Speck and Josh Gordon, who did Blades of Glory. Not quite as good as that movie in general, but overall, the film surprisingly does work. You do buy the chemistry between Aniston and Bateman. You do buy Bateman's idea that, he feels like this kid is very much his kid, and, he's very stuck in a situation where he's afraid to tell Jennifer Aniston how much he loves her. And yeah, it leads to a lot of interesting scenarios and interesting conflicts in general. Very, very formulaic, yes, but, if your chemistry between your two leads works very well, you can easily make it work. And this one does it very well. It's a very solid film, a very entertaining movie, and it's definitely one I recommend checking out. It's one of Jennifer Aniston's more underrated movies as a leading actress, and I thought it worked very well. So it's a good recommendation. Watch The Switch. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and it's the return of Nanny McPhee in Nanny McPhee Returns.
I am Nanny McPhee.
Now let's go fuck these kids up. Mom, grab the rolling pin. Because you know that as a kid, at least if you were an Italian kid like me and my sister, you know that if you got in trouble, you did not want that rolling pin to come at you because, yeah, you were going to get hit by that. Or you could have gotten hit by this cane that is just being used as a prop. By the way, $2 at World of Values. I got this years ago, and it's a real cane, too. So take that for what you will. But that has nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about here. Nanny McPhee Returns. Let's talk about that. It's the sequel to the 2006 movie of the same name, taking place in the 1940s with her husband away fighting Adolf Hitler's Nazis. An overworked mother, Isabel Green, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, finds herself caught between a hectic life of tending to the family farm and raising 3 new mutinous children. In desperate need of a helping hand at the end of her tether, Isabel can't believe her eyes when Nanny McPhee, played by Emma Thompson, the extraordinary government nanny, shows up at the front door after the events of the first movie. As Isabel's scheming brother-in-law, Phil, tries to talk her into selling her half of the farm, the poor mother is going to need all the help she can get. With a sprinkle of good old magic, do the trick once more. And, yeah, I'd say it did. This is, of course, Emma Thompson's work. She also wrote the script for this. This is directed by Suzanne White, who's done some other stuff here that I'm not too familiar with. Mostly British stuff. But, yeah, I could have sworn she'd done something else. She would later do Our Kind of Traitor down the road with Ewan McGregor, a film I had never heard of, but yeah, this is basically, Emma Thompson returning to a character that worked the first time around, and, brought that back for a surprisingly enjoyable second film, and a good cast involved in this one that includes, as I said, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Ray Fiennes, Reese Ifans, Ewan McGregor, Maggie Smith, Asa Butterfield, who would later go on the next year to star in Martin Scorsese's Hugo, and this was kind of his first entry into the world to most people, and it was a pretty entertaining movie. These Nanny McPhee movies are very fun films. They're films that are very enjoyable. Yeah, they're very much Mary Poppins for a new generation, but it does a good job of distancing the Mary Poppins storyline with the Nanny McPhee storyline, and it's not just because Nanny McPhee looks like an uglier person compared to Mary Poppins. That's a given, but there's a lot of charm to the character of Nanny McPhee, and you can tell that she really does care about her job and cares about helping this mother dealing with all these problems here. And if anything, this is probably, I think, a much better sequel to Nanny McPhee than Mary Poppins Returns was to Mary Poppins. I mean, that's literally what I think of here, because Mary Poppins Returns is not that great of a movie. I mean, the soundtrack is great, but yeah, the movie itself is not pretty forgettable and bland. But there's some good things about that movie, though. But we'll delve into that in 2018. But as far as this film goes, yeah, it's a good movie. It's a fun film. It's not quite as good as the original film, but kind of like with the Bean movies, you watch them and you feel pretty good about yourself overall. You feel pretty good that you had a good time watching this movie, and it works because Emma Thompson just has that great charm of hers as the writer and also the star of the movie, and it just works really well. It's a very fun film. I give it a shot. Give it a shot if you can. Nanny McPhee Returns, or Nanny McPhee in the Big Bang for those of you living in the UK, because that was the title of it there. But anyway, yeah, Nanny McPhee Returns. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, only 2 movies to wrap up the month of August. 2 notable movies. No, this is not Labor Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, is it? No, it's not. But 2 movies, including Takers, which features an ensemble that includes Zoe Saldana, Columbus Short, second movie together that they're both in, After Death at the Funeral, and also Idris Elba among the cast. We also have The Last Exorcism, which... No, it isn't, because there's going to be a lot more exorcism movies after this, so don't even bother trying to convince anybody that that's going to be the last exorcism, which it really isn't, but people bought into it, and we're going to talk about both for that and Takers next time around, so definitely be on the lookout for that tomorrow on the show. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that notification button, as well as that's the subscribe button, then hit the notification button. I'm trying to get this pattern correct here, guys. Help me out here. But also, don't forget to hit that playlist, which I know is there, and as well as the previous episode up at the top there. So anyway, with all that said, let's go ahead and get on out of here. Whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.